Frida Sewalong. I'm just getting myself sorted here. Trying to make sure that you guys, we can't really see anything under the table at the moment. Just a big black blob, never mind. Realised I've not chosen the easiest fabric for this because you've got no obvious right side, wrong side. So for me to explain to you what that is on screen is going to be tricky, but I'll try my best. So this is the second in the Frida Sewalong. So Frida is our newest PDF release that came out in September, even though we're now in October. Part one was last week, sorry. And on that one, we basically got up to the point where we'd stitched the necklines together, did all our stay stitching and put the pleats in. And then today what we're going to do is attaching the yoke to the bottom skirt top. The burrito method of sort of rolling it all up, which is quite confusing. So we're going to do that together. Then we're going to, I'll just kind of do some stitching around the armholes just to keep them all together, and then sew the side seams, and that's where we'll hopefully get to by the end of today. So as always, Rosie is online answering your questions. So if you have any questions, guys, whether it's about this or anything else, then do ask Rosie a question. She'll also be able to put in links and things when we're talking about stuff, so keep an eye out for those. And if you're watching this on the pre-recorded, not pre-recorded, what do I mean? After live, once it's gone up, then you can see information in the description box below about the patterns and the fabric. So the fabric I'm using is called Molly. Molly fabric, and we've also got something similar called Lola. So it's a nice cotton embroidery, sort of embroidered cotton with like little cutout patterns, so really pretty. And I decided that I wanted to make something for the evening, so that's why I've chosen this fabric. I'm making the top version as well, and the plan was, because this is got short sleeves, I want to do a long sleeve one. Before I get started, hello guys, I've seen your names popping up there. Hi Sal, hi Val, hi Fiona, hi Noelia, and I also saw Helen, hello. Do keep chatting, guys. Anyone who's new here on the live, just say hi. We'll welcome you into the lovely live Sew Along gang. Right, let's get started. So I have got here on the table my front top / skirt bit. So I'm going to refer to it as a top, but obviously if you're making the dress then it's like a skirt. So this is facing right side up. I've also got laid out the top yoke section. So I've got the front facing me. I've got it right side up as well. So I've put here a cross just to help me remind me of what the right side is. But what we're going to do first is we are going to work with the front yoke, and we are going to attach that to the bottom top. And we're going to first attach it by pinning it to the outer yoke. So the front yoke that is going to be sitting on the front of the garment, that one, that is what we're doing. So we're going to place that right sides together with this. So I'm going to do that now as best I can, trying to make it obvious for you guys. So I'm just going to line those up there along that edge, right sides together. And you have got some notches to help you with that. And what we're doing is we're just pinning at this stage. Now you can machine tack it if your fabric is slippy, but I'm hoping I'll just be able to pin this, and then when we attach it with the inner yoke, we'll do the stitching. I'm sounding croaky, but I'm definitely not croaky anymore. Gotten over that. Did a lot of sleeping at the weekend, so feeling a lot better now. Okay. I have also on this, because I've got these sort of rows of fabric pattern and stuff, I've got those that I'm trying to line up, but I think annoyingly they're going to be slightly out because of the pleats. It wasn't really possible to sort of pattern match. Just checking that I've definitely got the right one here. Make sure that you've definitely got the front skirt top piece slightly different to the back. It should be slightly bigger, slightly wider. There we go. Just lining up those notches are there to help. I'm just seeing that there's a little bit. I think what had happened is my machine tacking across my pleats had just gathered up a little bit. So I'm just pulling that out. Ouch. Ouchie wouch. Okay, I'm already hot again. I have to take my cardi off. Ooh. Okay. Right. Okay. So a couple of people having lunch in the office and I can smell food. It's making me very hungry. Should have had something before I went live. Okay, so I've pinned that now, guys. So that's just to confirm again. Right sides together, and I started off with the outer yoke, so the one that will sit out on the front. Okay, so now what we're going to do, this is where I'm going to try my best not to confuse you guys. So what you need to now roll this. Oops. Roll, sorry, from here, the bottom, that needs to just be rolled up like that. Okay, then we also need to roll the back two yoke pieces, get them out the way. And when you roll the back two yoke pieces out the way and you roll the skirt out the way, you then should be able to take that edge that you've pinned and line it up with the inner yoke. And then you've got the whole of the garment encased there. So then what I'm going to do is take my pins and put them back in one at a time to make sure I'm keeping everything aligned. So what we're sandwiching now is we're sandwiching this part, the front top or skirt, in between the two front yoke pieces. Okay, and this is going at the moment, oops, I don't know why I'm taking a pin there. At the moment we'll be pinning the right side, sorry, of the inner yoke. It's joining that skirt, and it will be, or top piece, and the inner yoke will be going right side to wrong side of the skirt top part, this part. So if you didn't have the skirt piece there, you would be placing the two yoke pieces right sides together. That might be an easier concept to get your head around. Again, it doesn't help that my fabric is not showing good and obvious right side, wrong sides. Never mind. Here we go, guys. You can see why it's called the burrito method. So now that is all together, we can stitch that in place. So we're going to use our seam allowance of 1.5 centimetres. In a comfy position on my machine. I'm just going to increase my stitch length to about 3, which is what I prefer. And then make sure you're lining up your raw edge of your fabric on the base of the machine. Whoops. Do your reverse. Make sure as you come to the not flaps, pleats, when you come to the pleats, just try and keep that all nice and flat and together. You don't want to accidentally stitch a pleat back. You should be able to feel that area where you're about to sew, that it's not feeling too lumpy and bumpy. Whoopsies. I feel like I was feeling a bit bulky there. It's okay, I think it's a pleat. We're fine, but hopefully aren't catching something and we shouldn't be. It's quite tricky with this embroidered fabric because it's got all the kind of texture and thickness of the embroidery, which is different in different places. So there's points on the fabric which do feel thicker because of the embroidery. It's a bit confusing. Okay, there we go. Make sure you do a nice little reverse. Got some decent size scissors today, not the big ones. Managed to find the little snips. Trim those off. Okay, so now you should be able to put your hand in and pull it through. Like that. Okay. Context, this is the front, yeah? So I think in the instructions it says we're going to press it now, but I'm not going to press it because I'm just going to go straight on with doing the back. And I'll put the whole thing on rather than like that. So might seem even more confusing, the back, but we'll do it. Let's break it down together, guys. Let's break it down. So let's start off. I always think it helps to start off with putting it back to how it was on the table. So you've got your front yoke facing you here. It's all right side up. Obviously that's all lovely and stitched. So we're just going to repeat what we've just done, but we're going to do it on the back. So behind me is my cardie, and under my cardie is the back piece. So make sure you're getting the right side of this. And if you have fabric like me that's difficult to see the right side and wrong side, you remember the pleats are going outwards. So I've got that's the right side there. So I'm now going to take the right side of that and I'm going to put it down onto the right side of the outer back yoke. So that will be that piece there. And then again, we're going to pin this one and we're going to create our little burrito, and then we're going to stitch it when we've got the other layer in there as well. Okay, so that's their stitch there. So we've got more now, guys, to roll in, but we can do this. It's hurting my head a little bit, but we can do this. Ew. Let me just think how this is going to happen. So we're going to, all this extra here, the two skirts I've actually got, because I've got the one that I've just pinned there, and then I've got the one that we stitched. That needs to roll, but it needs to roll under this way. Okay, out the way. I've pinned this on the wrong side, annoyingly, never mind. And then I'm going to flip that like that, so that I'm now got the right side of the inner back yoke facing, and then this will come down on like that. Okay, so we've created the same burrito, all of it's in there. And again, if we didn't have the skirts in between, the skirt piece or the top piece in between, the two yoke pieces would be now right sides together. So they're sandwiching that skirt piece, top piece. It's annoying that it's a dress and a top, because I keep having to say this at different terms. And so I keep taking the pins. Stop doing that, Lisa. I've not made my life easy because I've pinned it from the wrong side. So I'm going to have to sort of go in there and get the pins out. So that's fine. Give myself a little challenge there. And just take them out one at a time and put them back through the 3 layers. And also just making sure that your notches are aligning on both yoke pieces. I'm hoping that was relatively well explained. Not easy. I guess you can just watch that again and again and again and pause it if you're doing this stage, just to help you work out how to do it. It's one of those things that you'll read it and you'll be like, oh, it hurts my head and I'm trying to visualize that. However, once you're actually in it and you've got those pieces in front of you, it's much easier to work it out. We had to do it without instructions when we were making the samples. We just had the pattern from the pattern cutter and we were making this on. We were like, I did it wrong the first time. But it was almost like we had to do it wrong to realise it was wrong. And then it was like, that's what I need to do. I can't remember what I did wrong when I get to think about it now. But anyway, there we go. All inserted there. They're all nicely together. So we're now going to stitch that just like we did with the front. Reverse at the start. The seam allowance 1.5 centimetres or 5/8 of an inch. Rosie did it wrong too. You really are in the hands of experts here, guys. I think it's important though to say that when you do things wrong, because it does happen, certainly when you don't have instructions, but that's often how you learn. I often used to say that when I was teaching in the classes, the physical classes, you know, I know it's a painful way to learn making mistakes because it means you have to unpick, but you will learn so much better and you will remember it because you'll have unpicked it and remembered how much a pain that was. And so you won't make that mistake again. Could be famous last words though, guys. Woohoo. Let's hope not. There we go. Right, I was about to say drum roll, but not yet. Let's cut the threads off. There we go. There we go. Now we have the drum roll. Pulling it all out. Ta-da! So we now have them attached. That's the front, that's the back, and inside it's all lovely and neat as well because all of those seam allowances are encased. Let me put it on my head so you can get some context. There we go. So, ta-da! Oops. There we go, that is it, done. Okay, so we can now do some pressing. I can relax. I've managed not to screw it up on the live. Oh, do I want to lift that up? Yes, I do. Get this up onto here so that you guys can watch me properly with my ironing, because we'll do a bit of ironing together. Oh, we've got all the deliveries coming whilst we're doing this live sew along today. You'll have hear the bell ringing. It's a great decision deciding on being up on the top floor because of the view. Not such a great decision for every time there's a delivery. We're all the way down in the lift. Okay, so what we're going to do now, guys, is we're going to press it on that seam, and we need to be careful that we don't do any too much hard pressing on those pleats. Oh, thanks, guys. Thank you for your nice comments. Ooh. I'm pressing it from the right side because my fabric can cope with that, but if it can't, then use a pressing cloth, or you kind of do need to still press from each side. I'm now flipping it to the inside and I'm going to press it again from here. So I'm just gently, the edge of my iron is on the edge there, and I'm just making sure that I do pull that yoke up so that I'm not getting any overhang on that seam. Okay, there we go. Oh, I'm looking forward to wearing this top. Definitely work with my bright colourful cardigans as well for when it's a bit cooler. But it's very mild in London today. Didn't even need to wear a jacket today. Really lovely and mild. And then back onto the inside. And I should have said, it's easy if you have got fabric like me and you were just doing that method, it's easy to know which was the inside because we've got the understitching around the neckline on that. There we go. Move all this out the way and get the sewing machine back up. Oh, this is heavy, this machine. There we go. Lovely. Right. So now what we need to do before we do our side seams is we just need to stitch our armholes together because our yoke pieces aren't attached there. We did our stay stitching, if you remember last time, to stop them from stretching, but they just need to be machine tacked together so that when we're putting the sleeve in, we don't have to contend with 2 layers of fabric. We can treat it as though it's one. I'm just going to pin them together now, and then I'll stitch them together within the 1.5 centimetre seam allowance. Now I said on the Sew Along last week, guys, that the tea in a chat would be up by now. Not up, is it? So basically Rosie and I filmed it last week, and then annoying technology malfunction wiped what we had filmed. So we're gonna have to film it again. So it will be coming up this week, but we've got to film it again today. It was such a shame when that sort of thing happens because, you know, little funny things might have happened in the first time you filmed it, and then you don't get those little funny things again. I don't know how in the film industry they film a scene like 3 or 4 times to get all the different camera angles. I mean, I guess that's why they're paid millions, because they're good at what they do. But what a pain that must be, because I bet you must think, especially if you're the actor that's not being filmed at that particular moment and you do a really good performance, and then when it's your turn to be kind of on the close-up camera, you don't do as good a performance. That must be one of the trials and tribulations of being an actor. Anyway, I love how I'm comparing Rosie and I and our tea in a chat to a big Hollywood film. Okay. Right, I'll now stitch that. And away we go. And whilst I'm stitching this, I can do a bit of waffling because it's less important. And, oh, thank you, Helen. I'm also going to go back. Now, those of you that have been following us for a while may remember when I used to do a monthly fabric haul. Now, it used to be different because I didn't used to sell fabric online so much. It wasn't always our fabric, and then it became our fabric. Do you remember I used to have a basket on the table, and it'd be like, these are my 3 fabrics. These I'm going to make 3 things. Now I'm going to do a version of that, start to do that again, but I'm not going to make 3 things because I just don't have the time. But I wanted to do it very selfishly to keep me sewing nice things I want to sew, because I'm obviously all the things are nice that we have to sew for work, but I have really kind of lost my sojo for just sewing things that I want in my wardrobe, and I really want loads of things to sew at the moment. There's lots of things I want to sew basically, and I thought if I do it with you guys I will do it. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to do probably next week, I'll film a lot. These are the fabrics that I'm going to choose, and whether I'll make, I'm thinking maybe 2 things, but I don't know, we'll see. And even if I only end up making 1, at least it's nice to think about why I'm thinking about fabrics and sharing that. I think that's always such useful information for beginners, particularly on kind of choosing fabrics, because it's one of the hardest things when you're starting to dressmake is choosing the right fabric. And then I'm going to do a video showing you what I made, because I've stopped showing you the finished makes of these sew-alongs, which I also should do really, shouldn't I? I should try and put them in there. But yeah, that's another reason, because I still haven't hemmed that Neve skirt, and I basically have now put it on my dining table as a like, Lisa, you will hem this. I think because I don't have a dedicated sewing space in my house, I just put it away and I keep forgetting about it. Anyway, so I don't want to do that with this, because it's very close to the end too. You remember the basket? Oh, that's where I first, because on Lisa Come For Home I sell those baskets. That's where I first got the idea. I discovered those baskets, and then yeah, fell in love with them. I've got so many of them now. But then also we have, hopefully the team are going to do some months. So some months, you know, realistically, I'm not going to be able to always do it. So the team will be also doing a nice little choosing of fabric and showing us team makes. We're going to have the team makes come back. I know you guys absolutely love those. So interesting, because obviously what I'm choosing, you remember the basket too. What I'm choosing, you know, is always going to be one certain taste and style and the patterns that I might like. So it's always really good if there's a variety of people. So there won't be every month, but some months, yeah, the team will be doing a team makes. Hopefully it will help with their sojo as well. Still wading through past ones. There's a lot. Okay, so that's done. Probably could have done with pressing that, but I can't be bothered to get the iron off. I'll put the thing back down. So if you were doing this at home, just give it a nice little press. Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying watching them. I haven't watched some of those in ages. It'd be good to go back and watch what I was like, because I was probably a bit more formal right at the beginning on video. Relaxed far too much now. There was probably a lot less waffle back in the beginning. It's probably more informative and you said some more useful things. No, right. I was about to sew it wrong sides together. Stop waffling, Lisa, start concentrating. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip it and we're gonna make sure it's right sides together. And so the inside of the garment is now facing you. And we're going to line up the bottom of the armhole there and make sure, more importantly, that the armhole, than the armhole being lined up, is that yoke seam there. You want that lined up. So in fact, I'm going to pin that first, and then I'm going to pin this edge here. Okay. And then I'm going to pin down. Now I'm pretty sure there should be a notch down here, but I may have been lazy and not cut my notch because I can't find it. So use a notch if it's there. We will have a notch because we like to put them in on long seams just to make sure that you're not stretching the fabric. Called a balance notch. Okay, so I've pinned that one side. Just remember, again, if you're new to dressmaking, it's always good to point out to you that when I'm pinning, I'm always thinking about all the fabric on the left, open side on the right, and then pinning so that it would work with that. Because if you pin, like I just did actually, with it in the wrong position, it's a right faff on. So you want to always try and think about that. Think about also the direction that you're pinning. So I pin horizontally, because then I don't have to think about the direction, but I find it easier just to pin like that. I don't know if it's because I'm left-handed, don't know. Or you could pin upwards, but you don't want to have your pin heads going that way, because when you're sewing, if you're coming up to a big pin head, it's going to be awkward to take it out, and you're going to have to take it out early because your hand won't be able to get in. Whereas if it's that way, you can just pull it out like that as you go. Okay. I've never seen a mention of the Sylvia robe video. I feel like we've mentioned a lot. Some people must be like, oh, then she's not going on about the Sylvia robe so long again, is she? It's like a drinking game. How often will she say it? Have to drink a cup of tea every time I talk about the Sylvia robe so long. But I think there is somebody new here, and that's why we're chatting to you about it. So yeah, have a look at that. Okay, I've pinned both of those now, so I'm going to sew those. I'm going to sew them with 1.5 centimetres seam allowance, 5/8 of an inch. Make sure you reverse at the beginning. Make sure you don't stitch over your finger. Take your pins out as you get to them. It's quite bulky here, guys, where the yoke was. And one thing I didn't say, one thing you could do if your fabric was bulky, is when you've done your burrito stitching and before you pull everything through, you could trim down the seam allowances and grade them. So you've got 3 seam allowances there, so you could do one smaller, one a little bit less than that. And then you've kind of not got so much bulk. But my fabric is relatively bulky and it's all right. Because it's cotton, I know I can press it. But yeah, just a thought, you can always do that. Didn't have that issue with this fabric because this is even lighter. So we have got Halloween coming up, guys, and Halloween always creeps up on me. And suddenly there's a mad panic to make Jasmine a costume. But this year, coming up soon on Instagram, the wonderful Alma has made an amazing hack video, a lunchtime sew, on an adaptation of one of our Poppin' Jazz patterns for Halloween. So, anyone else already making Halloween costumes? I know in the US you guys love a Halloween costume. Much better at it than us. And I think the difference in cultures with Halloween here, we would only ever do costumes that are kind of traditional Halloween themed, so a witch or a wizard or a cat or devil, that sort of thing, whereas in the US you guys just do anything, don't you? The world is your oyster. So those of us that sew, obviously at a much greater advantage, but pretty impressive Halloween costumes. That's why I feel a bit bad as a mum who can sew, that I basically whipped something up the night before for Jasmine last year. Need to up my game because soon she'll start to realise that what I'm making her is naff. Oh, wall hangings and pillows. Oh, cool. For decorating your house. Yeah, I love doing a little pumpkin display, although in London, never too keen on doing too much on the doorstep because you never know if someone might pinch it. We have, it's not a great thing about London, but people have, you know, friends have been known to have their Christmas wreaths stolen, pumpkin displays. Oh, Dracula. Remember we saw that, didn't we? You put that up on the makers group, the Dracula costume. Very scary. Okay. Done, guys. That is where we got to. That was quite quick, wasn't I? Weren't we? That was only half an hour. But we have a top. Let's try it on. Do at the end of the sew-alongs, we try it on, we give you context. It's not going to really show up that well because I'm wearing a black top already, aren't I? But never mind, we'll still do it. Machine embroidery on haunted houses. Oh my gosh, you're patient, Lorianne. That sounds very involved. There we go. I was saying it feels a bit tight, but then it's because I've got another top on underneath. It looks like I've almost finished it. So there we go, guys. We've pretty much sewn the Frida blouse. The only thing that's left are the sleeves and the hem, which probably would take me about an hour or so, just over. So we have sewn it in 2 hours. No less, because it's only half an hour. What a quick make. Definitely, those of you that are experienced dressmakers can definitely make this in a morning. Really is a simple make. Yeah, obviously there's no rush, take all your time, but it is a really easy make. It's definitely one of those things if you think, oh, I've got nothing to wear at the weekend, quickly whip it up. Anyway, guys, that is it for sew-alongs this month. Or not this month, actually, no, not this, because we're already into October, aren't we? We're a bit late. So next month, we're actually just going to have a one sew-along day. We're not going to have two. Those of you in the VIP club will know it's because, we'll know what the pattern is for October because it's just come out. And it's quite a complicated one in terms of knowing what part to do on the sew-along. So I'm just going to do one sew-along for that because there's no way that I will begin to finish it in two sew-alongs. But there'll be lots of us, obviously I'm doing lots of other videos and things with the fabric and also makes. And another thing, what I thought I could do, but don't hold me to it, but what I thought I could do is when I'm actually doing my sewing for my fabric haul, you know, when my selfish make, I should call it, I thought I might do a live IGTV and just chat and sew. It's probably going to be in the evening, but I don't want to say when I'm going to do it because I need to just do it, kind of think, oh, I could do it tonight, so I'll pop something up on Instagram. So keep your eyes on Instagram. I know most of you do, but then it will be yeah, up on that. I should also say this week on Instagram we have got our Sew Over 50 week, which has been such a lovely thing to do and has been so well received. It's been made us all very happy here at Sew Over at HQ. So we reached out to Sew Over 50, the Instagram account, to say would they like to do help us kind of do a week where they sort of take over Instagram, and so that's what they are doing this week. So we have just used the wonderful Janine, that is a over 50 model for both this pattern, the Frida, and the one that's out this month. And so it's sort of all tied in nicely, and so there's some incredibly chic, stylish and inspiring makers on our grid, so make sure you check that out if you haven't looked on Instagram already this week. I would. What else do I have to say? Tea in the chat's coming, promise. Other things are coming, so yeah, lots of stuff coming up on YouTube as a result of that. I think that's everything I need to say, but I will be back. The sew along for the newest pattern is going to be in a couple of weeks, so on the 21st of October. So we'll see you then, guys. We'll be more Halloweeny then, won't we? And maybe that IGTV will be up of Alma's make, and we can discuss that. So anyway, thanks for joining, guys. Thanks for chatting and making it special as always. And thanks to Rosie for answering your questions. See you soon. Bye.